It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of this webinar. I thank the organizers because in this critical juncture, informed debate is a need. Then only we can go ahead to fight whatever policies the government is mooting. We can only move forward with informed mass, informed public, informed employees. So once again, I thank the organizers for the effort of continuous webinars on this subject. And coming to the subject, so I am just moving from Comrade Nandakumar. Future is the continuation of the past and present. So naturally, the nature of changes happening around us determine the future of the banking system also. It also decides the fate of bankers also. So naturally, banking as an intermediary financial activity is directly attached to the development function or the development of the country. In that sense, performance of the banking sector and the effectiveness of the banking sector has a major role in the development process of the nation. I'm saying this because in our country, unlike other nations, the banking sector has developed as part of a democratic process. From the freedom struggle to the nation building after 1915, we have grown, we have taken care of the people of the values of the nation as the economic values of the nation to guide the people, to take them up to a certain level. That is what CJ said, that up to the starting of the neoliberal policies of the 90s. So, but it is the policy perspectives of the government that manifests in the activities directed by the banking, and it also decides the banking structure of the country itself. So we are sure from Nadav to CJ, what we have heard is that it is the neoliberal policies. The government is on the move to complete the LPG process. The impact of the policies has been disastrous across the world. The person who was the chief economist in the World Bank from 1997 to 2000 has to write a book in 2002. Joseph E. Stiglitz wrote the book Globalization and its Discontents. In 2017, he has revisited his book and gone further to the extent. And in 2019, he has further said that it is the corporations or a minimum corporations of the world taking entire nations, the peoples, and the people are suffering in inequality even in America. So I think as a learning process, we should start from the history, because now going through the history of India itself, we can say it is the Battle of Plassey in 1757, or it was the Battle of Plassey that paid for the British rule in India. So banks were started for them, and Bank of Bengal was started in 1806, and the banking activities were done to their needs, to the needs of the colonial rulers. Now, along with that, we can see that from 1885, when Indian National Congress was formed, in 1906, when the Swadeshi movement was formed, along with the fighting spirit came rejuvenation of the national wealth, rejuvenation of the independence movement, rejuvenation of the democratic process. So we can see from the history itself. So before 1947, in 1935 itself, when Subhash Chandra Bose was the president of the Congress, with Jawaharlal Nehru, the economic planning or the planning forum was formed. And along the same time, the architects of our constitution had also articulated and formulated a clear direction on the path of governance, how we should go. So I think it is very much of a need to recall Nehru's speech on the 22nd January 1947 on the constitutional resolution. So it may seem why that verse is needed. It is needed because it is the expectation of the rulers when the nation got independence. He said the first task of this assembly is to free India through a new constitution, to feed the starving people, to clothe the naked masses, and to give every Indian the fullest opportunity to develop himself according to his capacity. That means democratization was the felt need of that time, and financial independence of the citizen was a considered priority. Gandhiji's experience throughout his travels across the country guided him, and he defined democracy as democracy is the art and science of mobilizing the entire resources of various sections of the society for the common good of all. Bank is doing that. Banking is accepting deposit for the purpose of lending or investment, whatever it is. But as we know, when the nation got independence, when it was analyzed, the percentage of rural credit when the India lives in villages was a meager 2%. All India Rural Credit Survey by Reserve Bank of India under the chairmanship of Dr. Gorwala was constituted. And the first and foremost recommendation of the committee was that we need a bank for India. The government has to take the leading role. A bill was introduced in the parliament in April 1954. It got the president's assent on May 8, and it on the first public sector bank in the country was established at the Nations Bank on 1st July, State Bank of India. The demand from the bank employees movements, the demand from the political side, the social, political, economic situations and connected developments, we are sure that led to the nationalization of the banks in 1969. So what was the perception from the rulers? So I think when the government policies are ahead, now the last from 30 public sector banks, now it is 12, and again it is going to be decreased. So what was the expectation of the government in the post-nationalization was very clear in the national broadcast of the Prime Minister herself. She said, an institution such as banking, which touches and to touch, she says, the lives of millions, has to be inspired by a larger social purpose and has to subserve national priorities such as rapid growth of agriculture, small-scale industries and exports, raising the employment level, encouragement of new enterprises, and the development of backward areas. Now we understand, out of the 100 deposit, 100 rupees deposit collected, 60 has to go for the local development, 40% has to go for the priority advance, 18% goes to agriculture, and so on. Green revolution, pink revolution, white revolution, much progress has been done. But when it comes to the end of 1980, when it comes to the 90s, we see the Narasimham Committee proposal was submitted. As rightly pointed out by C.J. Nandakumar, it is nothing but the script from the World Bank IMF. But we have to see what the Narasimham committee itself has said of the achievement of the Indian commercial banking system. He said so how it developed, what was the speciality, massive branch expansion, particularly in rural areas, expansion in the volume of deposit, bank deposit formed 2/5 of the financial asset of the household sector. Rural penetration of banking system enhanced rural deposit from 3% to 15%. Diversion of an increasing portion of bank credit to priority sector happened from 14% to 41%. Nation building exercise was done by the public sector banks, says the Narasimham Committee report itself. So in short, nationalization was change in the development contribution for the banking sector, for the expansion of the banking sector, for the expansion of the development of the nation and the well-being of the citizen of the country. But one have also seen. So after this nationalization, none of the public sector banks were closed down. But many of the private sector banks failed. A special mention was to be made. I think it is very much needed. A special mention is to be needed in case of Global Trust Bank, which was started by then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh with the claim that we could raise 100 crore deposit in one day, but it was closed down to be taken care of by the Oriental Bank of Commerce. Again, 2009 came. Again, 2009 came when the global financial massacre was there. Hundreds of banks are failing in America. Then our ICICI Bank, the great private bank in India, was on the merge of break. The government directed State Bank of India to pump 1,000 crores and it helped ICICI Bank to come out. Recent experience of the Yes Bank, SBI is there. Another case, LIC is there. So it is the government directing all the public sector bank or the public sector to take over the failing banks. And again, we should remember the words of Pranab Mukherjee on the floor of the parliament on July 6, 2009. Because at that time, it was the history of the failing banks in America. He said, never before Indira Gandhi's bold decision to nationalize our banking system exactly 40 years ago appears as wise as it has over the few months. It happens when hundreds of banks were collapsed in America, which led to the financial crisis. But unfortunately, the Congress party decided to go along with the LPG program. It is only because of the collective fight of the UFPU, no doubt about it. Sharing the messages, spreading the messages, and getting the support of the political left that stopped the LPG process for a long time in the banking sector. But the present government, as it has a clear majority, it is going along with a much speedier move to ensure the implementation of LPG. But as a fact, we can say from world across, the experience is that it is not for the people, it is for the corporates. So in short, we can say the changes after liberalization were clear on three aspects. Banks were directed to work on market principles, interest rates and lending conditions were deregularized, common people were distanced, benefit poured to large customers and corporate entities. New accounting methodology or American standard of accounting adoption resulted in reduction of PSB profitability. Banks focused on consumer loans, auto loans, or to support the corporates. And finally, when it comes credit restructuring, OTS, haircuts, corruptions and looting of banks' assets. So finally, in this pandemic mood, we can say when all other countries, including America, is giving cash, is giving spending direct money from the federal resource in India, it is again the 20,000 crore, 20 lakh crores. It is the banks who are entrusted. It is the public sector banks who are asked to lend unviable units. Failure of economy due to the pandemic is also now on the bank's shoulders. So, and the real plan is once again for privatization. And I think that how the pattern has developed as an analysis, how it happened, why the people has not been taken care of. The policy itself is demarked, or it is correctly pointed out by none other than Dr. K.C. Chakravarti. If you could go through the Reserve Bank papers, there was a seminar on August 13 in 2013 at the Hotel Trinad at Mumbai on 13th of August 2013, where the efficiency parameters and others were discussed, and Dr. K.C. Chakravarti presented the paper. So from that figure, we can see how it changed because of the neoliberal policy in the banking sector, not covering the people, not covering the citizens. Rural branches in 1994, it was 57.16%, whereas it has reduced to 37.18% in 2013. Advanced agricultural small-scale industries, it was 30.03% in 94, which has reduced to 17.95 in 2013 itself. Amount, the advances up to 25,000. That is a small borrowers, we can say. It was 18.3%. It was reduced to 1.6%. Now the government says the traders be given 10,000 as a to solve the pandemic situation. Up to 2 lakhs, again the figure says, up to 2 lakhs, the advance percentage was 30.5, whereas in 2013, it is 9.5. Altogether, we can say, in 1994, the agriculture, the medium sector, etc., got 50% of the advances, 50% of the advances, but by 2013, it has been reduced to 11%. It has been reduced to 11%.
Only a few minutes more.
Yes, I'm just saying. So, 2013 itself, drastic change has been there. So, we can say that it is because of the organized plan of the government, which was being in the ruling front from the Congress. Now it is the NTA government, the same policies are happening. So informed debates are to be followed. So we have to take the message to the masses and a democratic way out to reverse the policies which only increase the inequality. I can say from Joseph Stiglitz himself, when after the 2009 debacle, when the Wall Street riots were there, he has studied the American community itself and come out in 2012 with a book, The Price of Inequality. And what he concludes is clearly the election of President Ronald Reagan represented the turning point in US. How it happened for Americans to lose the car, to lose the house. Among the precipitating events were, one, the first point was the beginning of the deregulation of the financial system. One main point was this. And second, the reduction in the progressivity of the tax system as our GST in our country. So we have to think of it. I'm not coming. So going to the future, I can say. So again, going to the future, now the technology upgradation is the technology is going to hold the key of the future banking. Banks will go for more profit making because they wanted to make the shareholders happy, reorganize the branch networks, reducing the manpower and reducing the establishment cost and so on. In 1930, John Maynard Keynes had written an essay, Economic Possibilities of Our Grandchildren. Our grandchildren. He said that, it is in 1930, he said in the future of abundance, technological know-how, workers may need to work only for 3-hour shift for 5 days. 5-day week will be there. 3 hours working will be there. But now in 2020, we can see from the IT sector itself, not say of the banking sector, say what IT from the sector itself, they are to work minimum 10 hours. And if it is work from home, it may be extended to 12 hours. So no doubt, IT will enable sophisticated product development, better infrastructure, in implementation of reliable and effective techniques for control of risk. Yono Cash, an example is there to stop the fighting of fraud. But what will be? But there should be a policy to change it, to give the employment, that to permanence. Now the posting you can see, to give the permanent employment to earn and continue living. Banking sector has grown with an employment of 2 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Now it is 8.5 lakhs only. Lower level cadres are getting abolished. So last year, before the pandemic itself, the pandemic situation, before the pandemic situation developed, ILO has come out with a figure, nearly 75 million young people are unemployed. 75 million young people are unemployed. The rate of joblessness of youth is about 3 times higher than the adult population. So as trade unions, I think I'm ending, as we are duty bound to fight forward for the alternate policies that ensures the stability of the banking sector and employment to the millions of our youngsters. Thank you, comrades.